Thanks so much for joining me here today as we talk about my favorite subject, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books and I love talking about them. One of my most favorite subjects. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram at jvelez622, on Twitter at artofjvelez, and I do have a Pinterest where I have a lot of pins, not just of my own artwork, but of greats like Walter Simonson, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, Chris Samney, Bill Sinkovich, and so many others. I have quite a few pins, so I probably have, every time I see one of their drawings somewhere that's new or whatever, I stick it in a pin. And that's at Jose V2163. So today we are going to pick up where we left off yesterday, and we're going to be looking at Wonder Woman, Spirit of Truth, like the other ones. This deals with a heavy subject, beautiful illustration by Alex Ross, like all the other ones. It starts with an origin. And so starts also with a little bit of action, just like all the others. Beautiful work. Alex Ross is just amazing illustrator. Just amazing. So what essentially this is Wonder Woman is trying to deal with what it is like to be her in her and her mission in the world of man. Now, I have to say that of all the superheroes that are available out there from both Marvel and DC, I am most sympathetic and most understanding of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is someone who I think ideologically fits with how I sort of deal with my worldview. So here she is, because of the way she dresses and the way that she's not taken too seriously by some of them. You can see in their eyes the disgust that they have toward her. And here is an example of the military being turned against its citizens. These amazing panel here, just good stuff here. Man, Alex Ross can draw and paint and anything else. Just amazing. But these books that Alex Ross did, it just gives you a glimpse into the humanity of these heroes. So again, even though she's an ambassador, nobody takes her seriously. It's a man's world. It really is. You can say it isn't or whatever. Look at politics. Look at everything, and it is what it is. It's not. I'm not saying it's right, but it is what it is. So here she is trying to help oppressed women, which is mostly what the book deals with. And you can see how they all shun her away, mostly for cultural reasons. Yeah, culture is very hard to overcome. I'm Latino, so we have to deal I have to deal with stuff in my culture. So culture is very strong, and here the men, of course, in certain cultures are not happy with her. So she goes to visit Superman, only we don't see him as Superman. She meets Clark Kent. I think it is very subtle. And essentially is how can he's letting her know the fact that it's important to be with the people, and that's why he's Clark Kent. So kind of going back, it grounds him. It makes him feel more connected to humanity. So that's essential what we have with our conversation here. So she basically stops being Wonder Woman and decides to go as just a regular woman and sees this person and decides to act, but not as Wonder Woman, just as somebody else. And everybody's sort of looking at her, so she walks away, but doesn't reveal herself. And goes to all these places, and you can see here, you know, the United States is not a perfect place, but man, oh man, if people realize what goes on in other portions of the world, if you think you have it too rough here in the U.S., there's some rough stuff going in other places. So Wonder Woman is doing what she can to help people overall. It's why I'm so sympathetic toward her and empathetic, and I relate. I think she's a very relatable character because she her and Superman, the humanity that these two characters have is it's amazing. And DC does a good job trying to keep them having that humanity and not letting them, change. It's kind of like Spider-Man. So she's in is that a burqa? I do apologize. I believe it's a burqa. So and she's arrested and put in with all the other prisoners here, and she sees the atrocities that they're committing and she can abide no longer. So she is basically going to reveal herself in this amazing composition. Man, looking at Alex Ross art, it's almost like looking at a picture. Just so cool. And she's gonna decided that she's gonna be Wonder Woman, um, because that's what the world needs. And she lets go of the prisoners and is gonna basically be a shining beacon for all mankind. Absolutely amazing, amazing artwork. And she's just gonna be content and basically, be herself. And I, again, I'm very empathetic toward, as one of the most relatable superheroes out there. I think Wonder Woman is definitely up there. So we end with her calling Superman from a payphone. This was released, I believe, in 2001, so there were still payphones out there. Cell phones weren't quite prevalent, and basically tells him he was right. And she goes and mingles with the people. And great ending, a very good. So then we're gonna go into the Justice League one, and we're gonna start like we always do with origins. And so we got Aquaman, Batman, uh, Wonder Woman, and the Flash, and Green Arrow. The Hawks here, Green Lantern, got Superman. I Oh, Martian Manhunter. I'm so sorry. I'm like he was hiding in that iceberg. So, and so quick origin of the Flash, um Green Lantern. These are all the classic ones. So Barry Allen, Hal Jordan, um Aquaman. There's always been, I think, just the same old Aquaman. Um Martian Manhunter, Ladies and gentlemen, this is not Photoshop. This is unbelievable. These look so real. Um, that is him painting Green Arrow, Hawkman, the Atom, Plastic Man. I mean, he just so cool. And the Justice League of America. In case people did not realize what JLA was, I think I know that nowadays it's all just Justice League, but it was Justice League of America for the longest time. So we got Adam Strange, Zatanna, Metamorpho, Elongated Man, the Phantom Stranger, Red Tornado, and then they spend all their time in that satellite. This screams 70s and 80s here, so which is, I believe, the era that he's trying to convey and reference. So, Liberty and Justice is, I believe, the title of the Justice League book. So, this book is the longest of the books. It's 96 pages when it was released. Great. Look at this. Goodness gracious. This dude. So basically, an alien virus threatens to wipe the Earth, and the JLA needs to find a cure and then prevent further infection. We start out here with just them doing heroic things. But as the news gets out, essentially, they have to. Great. Just great. They have to, calm fears and quell the hysteria too. So that's essentially what the plot is. But they're given a lot of time to shine. But the heroes doing heroic things. So great. I love nature. I think nature needs to be preserved. I believe animals need to be protected. And so seeing things like what Aquaman and Wonder Woman do warms my heart. Even though I know it's fiction, it's really good. I wish heroes like this really existed to make some true changes. So there's a lot of just spectacle, meaning you get to see Alex Ross draw. This dude drew every window. Look at this, every window. He takes no shortcuts. Just amazing, amazing. I believe this came out in 2004. So there is digital drawing, but Alex Ross does not do digital drawing here. But man, does it look. He is so good at photorealism. Look at Batman. So I kind of just already gave you the plot because basically what we're going to do is just kind of really go through this quickly. Um, like I said, this is the longest of the books in terms of pages. Most of the other ones are in the 60 page range, but this one was almost 100. So, and there's some really neat extras in this volume. So, I got this the collection for pretty cheap, and I have to tell you, I hardly read these. Paul Dini is a great writer. Most people know him from Batman the Animated Series. Paul Dini can write, but these weren't. I didn't pick these up because I wanted to look at some kind of story. Great, with the gorillas right there. I just sometimes in a comic book you just got to look at the pretty pictures, and it's essentially what we're doing here. We are He's such a great artist, and that's what I'm here for. Paul Dini, with respect, I love his writing. He's written some great episodes on TV. He has a good run in detective comic books in the mid to late 2000s, with the return of Hush, and he did some really neat things. So this dude can write comic books. So don't get me wrong, Paul Dini is no slouch. He's a remarkable writer, but you don't get this because you're trying to find some really, as good as these stories are and as human and all that kind of stuff. This is about the art of Alex Ross, and that's why I said it's unfortunate. I think I read the story once just to kind of see. Most of this is just me looking at the pictures. A lot of you may buy comic books and probably do the same thing. You buy a comic book and then never really look at it again. So in my case, I look at these all the time, but that's the thing. I don't read these. I don't read. Just, you look at this beautiful art and you're just like, wow. And you stare at it and you study it. I love his use of colors and his, his photorealism. I wish I have a couple of drawings that I've done, which I post on my Twitter, Instagram, and in Pinterest, using digital ink or digital painting. And I have to tell you, those are so time consuming. So time consuming. So most of the time I don't do it, but once in a while it's just fun to stretch out that muscle in your brain. But most of the time, because I like to draw quick, a lot of times when you have to use these, when you have to paint something, it just takes too long. And I'm kind of like, no, no, let's go to the next piece because it's about the creation for me. If I worked in comic books, I could totally pencil. And if I was an inker, I would probably be like those super fast inkers like Bill Sinkovich and John Byrne. But because I, I've been trying to slow down so in my art. So, but I'll never, there's only one Alex Ross, and often imitated but never duplicated. And that gouache he uses, which is like watercolor, but they just allow for you to paint over them. So I think this is just an excuse for Alex Ross to just draw some heroes. Wonder if he'll ever do something like this for Marvel. It seems that most of his interior works are DC based, and at Marvel he just mostly does covers. I wonder if Marvel. I know he did a. He, by the way, did a Fantastic Four, which he penciled and inked, which you don't see very much of. So it was not painted. It actually was digitally painted by an actual colorist. So amazing stuff. These heroes being heroic. You just don't see that very much. Everybody wants to be an anti-hero, primarily in the 90s when Image was around. Everybody just, and it's just nice to see heroes being good and heroic. Of course, I love a good evil villain. If any of you watch WWE, it's goodness gracious, look at this. This is all painted. Wow, wow. They're starting to get into with Cody Rhodes, particularly with the heroes, doing heroic things. It's pretty cool going into that versus in the Attitude eras and in the 90s where you had your heroes doing dastardly things like Steve Austin and all that kind of stuff, those anti-heroes. It's nice to see, like I said, heroes being heroic. So a lot of people don't like the fact that a lot of this doesn't, there's action scenes, but most of the time it was those talking scenes. But how about this scene? Goodness gracious, look at this. Alex Ross, my goodness gracious. So, and so, let's see here. So, we are basically gonna kind of look at a little bit of behind the scenes here as to what Alex Ross used for inspiration and how he, some of his inks. So, oopsie. And this is the dude that he uses for the Superman modeling, and how he gets the color. Look at that. The Joker he modeled after himself, but and he creates a mask so that he can use that mask. Um, it just so creative. Alex Ross goes through a lot of work to create these beautiful paintings, and he basically uses these for the light, for how the light reflects. I don't think Black Canary actually showed up in here, but of course I did cover uh, his 12-part Justice. So, then the credits. So, we have reached the end and the conclusion of his DC work for now. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.